return and file.
Sure. Because we fixed it after we slammed it against the wall. Our last meeting, on reading back.
Oh, what? Yeah. That last lightning strike we had.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the time we left, it was 5 o'clock.
Really? I got the doctor's signature. So afterwards, I took it down, hit it against the wall, put it back up, and it was great.
It was really beautiful. Apparently it's
Just put the battery in. Yeah.
Yeah, question.
Yeah, but then we come back. Goes under the tire. Pick it up. Yeah, so you got no way of picking it up other than that. We know it's gonna get paid that way. Hopefully. Yeah. That's the one we built out, no, it's that's how she goes. Yeah, it makes sense. Working on that CD. It was copyrighted. He's got it locked, so I can't burn it off the CD I have.
Oh, really?
So I've just got to go down and have him burn it. Should have that done this week.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
No, I'll put it in this.
I can't prove it. Yeah, you saw this right
Should be set up right before you get some. Ready, Curly? Close enough.
I call the town Bridgeport annual town meeting to order. Roll call.
The roster is being passed around if everyone would sign it because it is of the electors, it's not of the board. So that will be our role for the evening.
Got the verification of posting, the courier, rural Bridgeport Fire Department, town port, and the town hall here. So that's verification of that. Method of voting, ballot, show of hands, standing, or voice vote. How do you want to go along with that? On this vote tonight, how do you want to do this, gang? That's what I just brought up with. Voting by ballot, want to show of hands, standing, or voice vote?
Show of hands.
Show of hands.
Good enough. That's it? All right? So show of hands. All right, read and approve the minutes of the 2012 annual meeting.
Chairman John Carnick called the Town of Bridgeport annual meeting to order at 6:50 p.m. Those present as follows: Carnick, Steiner, Montpelius, Coots, Westerly, Smirchner, White, and constituents, a list of which was included verification of posting in designated places as well as published in paper. Mike Steiner made a motion to approve the minutes of the 2011 meeting as read, seconded by Montpelius, all ayes, motion carried. Method of voting. Method of voting, motion by Don McGuire to vote by show of hands, second by Mike Steiner, all ayes, motion carried. Hot, cold mix, all roads look good, maybe some patching, we'll do as needed. 2013 annual meeting to be held third Tuesday of April, not second as in the past, or within 10 days. Motion by Steiner, second by Montpelius to set annual meeting for third Wednesday of April 2013, all ayes, motion carried. Highway expenditures for year 2012. The total was set at the budget meeting November 2011. This total still appears okay, with maintenance at $155,000 and construction at $30,000. John Gillitzer requested floor. Fire department is looking at purchasing a new truck. Approximate cost $182,000. Will be equipped comparable to truck 54. Wanted to inform the town and electors. Motion by Montpelius to adjourn, second by Steiner, all ayes, motion carried. Meeting adjourned at 7:06 p.m.
Okay, I'll second. Motion made and second to approve the 2012 annual meeting. All in favor, say aye.
That show of hands, we need a show of hands of the electors, because it's 5 minutes of meeting of the electors.
All right.
Okay, can we have your hands up again so we can count how many? Or is there anyone opposed?
Just say no.
That's the easiest.
No one opposed? Thank you.
Discuss purchase stock and cold mix for the town roads. The easiest viable way of doing it is as we did last year. We started looking pretty decent, we're gonna try to take care of them every year. So usually just at that point, we'll figure out about what we need to use it as we do it. You know, instead of stockpiling and have to pay for it at that point. Who does it?
Who's?
No, usually if there's a pothole, yeah, John will go and take care of it at that point. John includes, you know, if we do any other servicing or something like that, we usually get a hold of one of the two of them, right?
Otherwise,
The county does some of
Colin
them,
does it for us.
and otherwise we bid it out.
most of that's all just on your back roads, you know,
Right.
and usually, you know, 18.
That's all
60s,
state,
they're
so we don't have to worry about that. So it's Buskey, Ward, Vineyard, and all those. 60, and 18. Yeah.
You pick that up right from the county material.
Yep.
Do they come out and look at the roads? Somebody come up and assess them then?
The county does it.
Okay.
The county does it for us. Well, say whether we have a problem with it, or you as a taxpayer, if you see you got a pothole.
I
you
know
just-
our road is pretty tore up.
All right.
I got a
That's what-
pothole.
Okay.
You don't have a road.
All right. as soon as we can. I don't know what the weather does, if it ever stops. So, Donnie in there?
Everybody signed this?
No,
There's
this-
more people coming in.
Karen's out here, she hasn't signed it yet.
Okay. So you want that brought up too? then?
Now we need to change it for next year.
Okay. All right. Annual meeting date for next year. So we'll end up changing it, right?
Well, yeah, next year, I guess I'm not sure about next year, but like 2015, it could be a problem if we always said the third Wednesday. Because in 2015, if we had it the third Wednesday, it would be before the third Tuesday. So we either need to change it back to the third Tuesday when the state says, or we need to state that it will be the Wednesday following the third Tuesday. One or the other, either one, so that it'll always be within the parameters of when the state
Right.
says we should have it.
Go for the third Tuesday, I make a motion for the third
Okay, so,
Tuesday.
well, we need to say that we
Same.
do it okay, third Tuesday, I'm sorry.
You're
Third
fine.
Tuesday works fine, yeah, okay. So we just need to have a motion for that.
Make a motion.
I'll second it. Now, the same thing we're going at, do this, our next
Yeah.
annual meeting be the third Tuesday next year. All in favor, aye, or whatever, raise your hands if that works for you.
Third Tuesday, we'll go back to when the state
All right.
says.
And of April, right?
Of April.
All right.
Any opposed?
All in favor, say aye. That's all right. Assessor, appointed versus elected. We actually can't do anything with that until the next election period anyway, right? But we can bring it up now.
Yes.
2-year periods. Yeah, so,
My view on that whole topic, nothing against Don or anybody, but at the same time, I think really, we need to bid that out to know what we're getting, be competitive, have a competitive environment, so it's fair, and open that up to, outside of the region, not just to where it's, just one person in Bridgeport that's got it. We wanna, have somebody to choose from, prove their credentials to the people and let the people make the decision.
well, I think prior to that, like I said, I won't be able to do it till then. We can talk about
To the
it. now.
meeting.
We can actually do it.
Can I speak?
Pardon me?
Why don't we put that into a vote of the people instead of just
Right.
have?
Yeah,
Right.
that's what we're just talking
Yeah,
about.
okay, all right.
You bet,
I
Chester.
misunderstood.
Yep, yep.
All right,
Sorry we're not
thank you.
talking loud enough for you, kiddo. Well,
Thank you.
but I think that's the idea behind it. And people are the one that put it to it, so that's where you wanna have it.
Yeah.
So,
Mike, can that be put as a motion tonight?
It
To be
can
done
as
at
a
the next
directive to the town board, because the town board is the
yeah,
one
this
that-
is
the town-
just an annual meeting.
Yeah,
This
the
isn't
town
a
board
board
acts.
active.
Well, I'd like to remind you though, state statutes 61:0 and 61:2 says that we do have the right to a vote at our town meeting, right?
You are the voters at
Right,
this town
right.
meeting, yes,
Then it's brought to the board.
right.
That's right.
Right, so
Right.
that's why, I don't, no, that's fine. That's what,
Yeah,
that's why, Rod, we were just talking about it. Yeah, that's the,
let's make a vote on it.
Okay.
I think the town people have a right to vote on that right now, even though it may be a directive in your mind.
Yes, it is a
That's what it
directive
is,
to the
yeah.
town board, and that's what
And
it's
that directive is binding, and you gotta act on it at the next town board.
Do we need a
Or,
motion?
again,
Yes, we do.
again, a year from now,
you guys,
not necessarily the next town board, but a
that's
year.
why you already made the motion on
Okay,
it, so,
I'll make a motion.
yeah.
I'll second it.
And who said they'd make the
Yeah.
motion?
Excuse me,
Now
what's the
second.
motion?
To change the position of town assessor from elected to appointed. A request for proposals would be issued to select an assessor based upon qualifications without regard to residence.
and we need that recorded.
It's my understanding that the statutes say that the only thing that can be done by the individuals at an annual meeting is authorize
Yes.
the town
Motion.
board.
Right.
And if we're gonna, I'd like the word authorize put in that resolution, so that we
Yeah.
abide by the statutes.
Motion to direct the town board to appoint,
Not direct, it should be authorized.
okay,
Direct, excuse me, it's direct,
It says authorize the statute, I have in my hand.
direct.
Correct.
This is from the town association, Carol, I think it's her last name.
Oh. Sandy,
Yeah,
you
perfect.
want to sign in? Sorry.
Fair and steel.
I think you're- Thank you. Thank you. Artie, is there chairs up there?
There's yours, okay.
Sandy, that's one over here.
Here, Cindy, you're going to, there's chairs.
Can I have the floor?
We're still getting information on this, please.
authorize the town board to select assessors by appointment under 60.307. That is 60, 10, 2J.
So it's still authorized.
All right. Are you sure?
Has to be recognized by the chairperson, even though he's,
Second.
yeah, is there a reason we don't have a chairperson?
That's right. Where is he?
He's not here.
He should be
Is
here.
he in Florida?
He's not here.
I see chairperson, he's not here.
He got the most votes in last election.
Yeah, I know, but that's
Well,
still
it's your
tough.
question.
Well, that's tough.
If he wants a job, you gotta have it for the last
That's
year.
right.
If I could, I'd like to be recognized.
Can I first,
Fill
who
this out,
seconded the
then
motion?
you can
Sheila?
second it.
I did, I said.
All right, we'll
Thank you,
second it.
Judy. I couldn't remember.
Okay, thank you.
Now, we need to have the motion, a vote. How many are in favor, and if there's anybody opposed?
That's where I have your hands up for those that
How many is it?
Approved?
Everybody's opposed to it.
This is approved?
Yeah.
doing that?
Approved.
What are you gonna do here? How many's
Hand here,
opposed to
you
the
guys
idea?
gotta talk up.
Talk up, Kenny. How many's opposed to the idea with the assessor position?
I am.
We're raising our hand.
Raise your
What are
hand.
we doing?
Yeah,
Opposing?
raise your hand.
That means you're opposed against it.
No,
Oh.
4 against it.
Okay.
How many are for it? You can abstain from voting too.
Go on.
You wanna count?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. One,
Raise your
two,
hand.
three, four,
You get
five,
yours.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
I just got 18.
Did you?
19.
So we just got raised up.
So I raised both?
19's close enough.
And is there any that abstain?
Well, you've got some that's not in the township. They're sitting out there.
Did everyone sign the roster that was?
I got it
passed
right here,
around?
Linda.
Thank you.
Everybody is in the township, but
Okay.
probably one.
Good.
And she's not voting.
Good.
Okay, so.
You want it,
everybody's
Linda?
great.
Oh, Adam, I'm sorry.
Adam. And maybe not either. Yeah, I did. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
All right, now you had something to say?
Yes. I would like to make a motion or directive, whichever you'd like to term it, that the town of Bridgeport impose a moratorium on the expansion of existing and creation of new metallic mining operations within the town of Bridgeport for the next 12 months, so that the township has time to research and make a study to put a proper non-metallic mining ordinance in place for the town of Bridgeport. select or second and vote on that.
I second.
I'll second. Who first? You said Sheila? Lauren? Lauren made the motion.
Do we get a discussion on that then too?
Well, I think that when we let one person in, we knew this was gonna happen. We knew that there are gonna be all kinds of people that are gonna wanna get on the bandwagon. And I think we need to do something to keep it from our whole community not being a mess. Like certain places like Hibbing, Minnesota, and places like that that are nothing but big holes in the ground.
You know, they made a remark that, oh, I pay tax and I should be able to do what I want with it. What if I put a landfill across from my road?
Or a pig farm.
Would they let me, or would they complain? They wouldn't let the paper and everything fly over there, the stink and everything. I'm sure they'd be complaining to beat heck. Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get all their dust and all their wells beat up and everything else.
And how many of these people at the table would want something next door to them, or right in their backyard? That's what's
Control
gonna happen.
it is going to be controlled, I wouldn't mind. I'm gonna have the hospital sitting there, it's not gonna make a lot of
Well,
difference.
but that's not like a fragment.
I'm just saying, if it was, I'm fine with it, because of the directives they got on it right now, all
Not
right?
working in Prairie.
That's me. Pardon me?
These directives or these
Prairie.
control
Nope, that's
aspects are
right.
not working in Prairie. They got complaints left and right.
That's right.
The point being made is, we don't want it,
Well,
see? And we want
put a
some,
directive, you
want
can
some
bring it back to
control.
the board, and that's as far as it's got, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Can
That's
we
the
vote on
problem.
it tonight?
We want people to listen to us. We are the taxpayers. Even in Washington today, they didn't listen to 90% of the people. It's time that you listen to us.
Right.
Right.
You know, and I think the town of Eastman had a meeting last night, and they put it on a moratorium, right, for another 12 months?
Oh, good.
You know, are they better thinkers than what we are? I don't think so. Do they have a better board than us that listen to the people? Maybe, huh? So, I tell you, we gotta have a moratorium, we gotta think about this, we gotta slow down. There's a lot of things to think about, and we just gotta do it. And I think we need to have a vote. Does anybody else in here think that maybe we shouldn't have a moratorium for the next 12 months? Let's take a vote on it and see.
Oh, there's one in
Let's ask for a vote.
Going to be inspecting it,
Let's take a vote.
you know, then.
How many's for it?
We gotta have that moratorium. Gotta have it.
Make a motion.
The motion has been made. The directive has been made.
And it was seconded.
And it's being recorded. Linda,
I have,
let's make sure
What I
that
have.
we go hold ground on that.
You're in the movies.
Those in favor of the moratorium say aye.
Aye. Raise your hands.
It's come.
if you would please.
6. In the back, right, in that? Okay. Yeah. 19.
Thank you. That's all I got to say.
Those against, those that are either abstain or no, I need to have a vote for.
Could have it for the other end of it too.
Anyone
Anybody
against
against the
it?
mining?
No,
Anybody for the?
I'm against the motion.
Anybody
Motion
for the
against
mining?
the
Get it right.
motion for the moratorium.
Right, anything for the.
Just a bit, that would be against the moratorium. Anybody
Yeah.
against the
I need
moratorium?
to,
Against
it's a motion, so we need to know how many are yes and how many are no.
Can't believe it.
Oh, give me a break.
Hey.
Let's all behave.
What you got? All right.
Just in case you need it, guys.
Thank you.
We've been after it enough right now. All right.
Childish.
Yeah.
I want you to take that.
Okay.
Petty kids.
Supervisors, numbered in seats. Did you find out anything as far as population and how many?
If it's over 2,500, then it can be increased by a vote of the electors. So where we're at, 3 is the norm.
So we are.
Yes.
That doesn't mean we can't expand.
Doesn't mean that we can't,
No.
no. But it's nothing that we need to necessarily decide tonight either. Nothing will change until 2015, so it can be discussed some more at a regular meeting or at an annual meeting, either one, before the 2015 vote, so.
Just make sure it's wrong in there. Make sure of that. Okay.
What's the
For
people's
2015.
thought on, if they went to a 5?
My thought is go to 5, correct, so we don't even have our chairman here today.
That's right.
Yeah.
If we have 5 people,
This-
at least we'll have some representation.
Do you have a quorum? Do you have a quorum
Yes.
that you have to have?
Not
What is it,
tonight.
2?
No, tonight it's of the electors.
Okay,
So everyone in this room that belongs to Bridgeport is a voter tonight.
okay.
It's a meeting of the electors. It's not a meeting of the town board. It's
That
the
last major
electors.
decision that affected, and
So,
I think upset so many people, 2 people.
2
Yes.
people decided because
Not
one
enough.
person had to abstain, right?
Yes.
Right.
And then here we are again tonight, we have a missing board member. To me, it only
For an
makes sense
annual meeting.
to get 5 people in place so that when somebody's missing or somebody can't vote, at least the people in the community get a little bit better representation.
But then you also have to get people to want to run for the position.
I
That's
think we
been,
have
thankfully,
people.
that's
we had
been a
this last
problem
time.
in the past,
Mhm.
getting people to commit to the board. I'm just stating that
Yep.
for everyone to understand that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, but if there was a tie or a split, you are the person that votes, right?
yes,
So we do, and you are elected official.
yes,
So you would qualify as a voting
yes.
person.
Yes.
Under
is the
such
quorum 2
special
then?
circumstances.
Is the quorum 2?
If there's a 3 board member. 3-member board, then the quorum would be 2, but if we had 5, then it would take 3.
Yes.
And we'd have proper
So we
representation.
take care of it in 2015, where they're asking them if they want to do it. If that's the idea, we can put it down as now, but we won't act on it until 2015,
Well,
the next
and
election.
maybe it's just something that we want to wait until next annual meeting. It's nothing that we have
Right,
to decide
we have
tonight.
2 years
anyway,
yet,
so,
Okay.
yeah, because it
Well, we
won't
got-
change anyway.
It seemed like a good idea to do it at the next annual
Yes.
meeting, rather than wait too long so people can get ready and plan their elections and whatnot.
Yeah, because if you wait till
Get
15 to
people
do
to
it,
be
then
able
you
to
gotta
run.
wait again in the
Yeah.
next election to
Yeah.
get people to run.
Yeah.
So can we at least put it in for the next
Yeah.
annual meeting?
Put it on your
You betcha.
agenda for next annual meeting.
Great.
Since I'm talking, I've got a motion I'd like to make here. Assuming the board doesn't follow the directive to put the moratorium in place, I'd like to make a motion to add the following stipulation to the Patterson Sand Company Cup. I make a motion to hire an engineer to be chosen by the town of Bridgeport, Wisconsin, at Patterson Sand Company's expense. This would be to perform a study on the area to determine how the mine will affect our state and local roads, property values, wells, livestock, wildlife, and waterways.
I'll second. Okay. You got that down?
Here, I'll give you this.
Wonderful, thank you. Much easier.
Greg made a motion.
Tim made the motion, I seconded it.
Tim made a motion, Greg seconded.
Got that thing, good?
Yeah.
Alright. The highway expenditures for 2013, set at special
Are we
meeting.
gonna vote on the motion?
Oh,
Or is there discussion?
Any discussion? Does anybody think it's a bad idea at least to take a better look at this thing?
I think it's a beginning.
I think it's a great idea. I worked at the hospital when we built onto the hospital, and we always had an engineer there that would go down and make sure that the cement was properly, and, you know, mixed and that sort of thing, and we paid him a stipulation, and he made sure that things were up to code. And I think that's a great idea.
Great idea.
Absolutely.
All in favor, show raise of hands.
Yeah.
Hold them up until they get a
Pull them
count.
up so they can count.
All against, three
Is
against.
there any opposed?
Three against. Okay.
Expenditures for 2013, set up special meeting on 21st. Maintenance is $165,000 and construction $30,000. We got very little into the construction.
It's a bit more.
Snow plowing, big, all other stuff. Edging, anything that we bring to come in to do as far as to seal the lane, if it's in there, that's what goes for it. Yeah. So all that stuff's on the rod for that part of it.
I'd like to make a motion. I make a motion to put into place this non-metallic mining ordinance. This is a copy of the non-metallic mining ordinance of the village of Wazeeka, and I move that the Bridgeport Township adopt this same ordinance in its entirety.
We need to know what's in it.
Yeah, what's the difference between that one and the one we have?
That's the village of Wazeeka,
Yeah.
Oh, it's village.
village of Wazeeka. Did you?
No, I haven't seen it, but I think we should be informed as to what's in it.
Right. How many pages is it?
Quite a few pages, 10 or 12 pages.
I encourage everybody to go ahead and have a look at it. If any questions? This is something that so far our board has failed to do.
I mean, we need an ordinance.
All right, we'll
We
go
had
to
one.
11. Any public input, says 11, limit to 1 minute per person. You got any more that you want to go after?
Are we gonna go for They this? can't,
We have a motion on the floor.
oh,
We don't even have this
We
to
second
everybody
it.
be able to see,
I second the
you know,
motion.
until it's copied. So you
Right,
can
you
look
have to
at
be
it.
informed of what
I'm
you
for it.
Right.
Right, you can't
Larry,
recommend
Larry, I
something you
believe
don't know about.
Larry has the floor. Can you, you asking for a second?
Can I have a second, please?
Sure.
Second.
I second.
Discussion.
Can I take a quick look at this?
Yeah, I'd wait until
We
people get a
want a
chance to read it.
discussion.
Is it available online for anyone to read it, or?
You got a copy for me to read tonight?
Well, there's
got a
probably too
copy
many,
right
it
here,
would be
just
too
run
much
it
to
in.
read.
Here, I
to
can pass it
figure
around.
out.
Pass the copy
Randy.
around.
I'll have time to read that.
Anything that's brought up tonight, like something this, you know, many pages, can it,
Here's a copy.
That's what I mean, that's
can it be
somebody,
tabled but still be a town, you know, go under the annual town meeting guidelines for the next meeting? Since it's too much for everybody.
Everybody signed the petitions, it's about the
Actually,
same.
a lot of these motions.
If it would be available online, so
please,
anyone could look at it.
settle down 1 sec, we're just trying to make something for Greg here.
The motions that have been, most of the motions that have been brought up tonight are not powers of the town meeting, the annual town meeting. So they can be discussed, they'll be taken into consideration, but they are not things that can be acted on tonight because it's not a town board meeting. It's a meeting of the electors.
Of the people?
So there are certain items that can actually be as directives, such as the assessor and the supervisors, the numbered seats. But none of these other items are really items that can be acted on tonight.
But
The moratorium either?
Right.
Linda,
Actually acted
if you
on.
want it acted on, you have to get it on the agenda, so that all the public can participate.
There's no agenda for tonight's
The
meeting.
agenda for an annual meeting is just the
There's-
posting of the annual meeting.
That's right.
As a town, yeah, as a town
And we can
board.
talk all we want, no 1-minute limitations either.
That's what Larry had been.
Will this not be discussed then until the next board meeting then? Is that gonna be an open meeting that we can talk at, so that we can say how we feel about it?
We can request an open, we can request an open meeting, or I take it, the percentage of us, that want it, can have an open meeting where we can talk.
Because I've been at meetings in the past where I've been able to say what I felt when they were gonna put a trailer court next door to my house. I went to every meeting, and they let me talk, and it seems like sometimes we come here and they don't even wanna hear what we say, and that's not right.
So I guess we're back to, we had the motion by Larry, seconded by Irene. We need to take a vote.
Take a put on it. All in favor of the moratorium?
No, this is,
Legal?
this is the motion for the
Zoning ordinance,
ordinance, bylaw Zika.
Non-metallic
To be looked at then, is that what it is, or what?
People remember, if you vote on something without reading it,
Right,
you're getting right back in the same boat of not knowing what you're voting on.
right,
So you might want to take the time to read these 12 pages and see
Right.
exactly what's in there. You
Right.
might want something taken out, you might want something added to it. So
Right.
if you vote on it now, you're voting on it.
Maybe what we should do is we should have it at the next meeting, and then vote on it then.
Right.
right.
And in the meantime, we can all study it and find out if that's what we want.
And that's what I was asking Mike, can that be done?
You can put it on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still have the people,
We can ask for a
have
meeting.
the electors be able to vote on that.
Right.
Because we can't do it tonight, we can't read all
We
that.
can table it until,
Or,
And if we can, I'd like to make a motion to table this until the next town board meeting and still allow the electors to vote on this motion after they get to read the material. Because we can't do it tonight.
that's good.
Yes.
How do you take them into that?
I don't know.
You can't vote, an annual meeting's an annual meeting, what we have tonight said here is done here. Our next annual meeting's a year from now.
Yes, that's right.
Well, no, but Don, you don't want to vote on something you don't read.
No, I
And that
agree
doesn't make
completely.
sense.
I agree, that's why you have to be prepared, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
It should have been around already.
And it's just advisory anyway, I think the board knows how you feel, okay? You've made that pretty obvious.
Oh, yeah?
Excuse me? Do you have something to say, Mr. Steele? Come on, speak up.
You were saying that the
I'll
board
speak up for him if
You
that's
say
what
the
it is.
board knows how we feel? Then why
Yes.
don't they vote like we feel?
I don't know how they vote, I'm just telling
You
you,
had
they
the
know how
question.
you feel.
Yeah.
You know damn well how they vote.
And we were told by a lawyer that what we said didn't matter, that young lawyer from Lancaster.
So is that what we can do, Mike, is
He
table
worked for
this?
Patterson, not us.
Yes, he did.
Don't sit there and tell me that the board knows how we feel. If they did, they would vote.
Can you do that or not?
I know how you feel, how could I not know it?
We know how you feel too.
Yeah.
Mike, are you in charge? Mike,
I'm glad you do, you didn't,
Mike,
you have to
are
be
you
done.
in charge? It's
Yeah.
kind of getting out of hand.
Gang, we got zero tolerance here. If you're gonna start doing it that way, then we're gonna cancel the meeting and stop it altogether, all right?
Well, we'll bring it up at the next meeting, discussion and act
Well,
on this.
the easiest thing to be able to do, we cannot bring it up at a regular board meeting, we can bring it up at the next annual meeting, which is next year.
We can
Everybody's
request
gotta
a
take
special
turns.
meeting.
Please, please. All right, so that's the idea behind it. This is just, you're giving us your input. Okay, that's the idea behind this, okay? Us to be able to act on it next week or whenever it is for the next one, this is just input to it, all right? The easiest and the best way to do it is have it all ready, you've got all your stuff for the next one, then next year, at the same time, you know? So,
Mike, couldn't we direct the board to review that and then to try to develop one for the community that makes sense?
oh, we can look at it, yeah, definitely. It's like I told you before when we were trying to do this, it's real hard for our board to try and do anything when we have the masses, okay? All right, and we try to talk to that, I try to visualize with you when we were sitting here that one night.
Yep.
And if not, I'm not gonna sneak around and say, okay, we're gonna have a meeting tonight, nobody can come to it, you know, and we don't have an open, we don't have a, closed meetings, okay? Because we're not quite as good as the city yet, that they can close it, take care of it that way. And there's a lot to this to make a decision on. So it's not to be able to, not to say, hey, we don't care what you guys think, it's ridiculous, okay? I hate to be the one to come out and say that, all right, but it's not to that point, all right?
Tim, I think we need to fund that.
I think we should reword the motion to direct the board to review this and to start to develop a policy.
What they're gonna throw at you is, what we do tonight, it has to hold, it'll have to hold until this time next year.
No, not if we direct the board to review it and to get to work at it. At least they have to take that under advisement. Just like all the other motions. And we've got a new board member here that I think will help follow up with that.
And the other thing is, between that two, I agree with you on that thing too, Terry, that the only thing is you have to be non-biased, it's the same as when we had Rod here, okay? So you tell me, and this is the first engagement I've had with Rod, okay? To know whether he is here, obviously has the backing and the sense to be able to be with the rest of the guys that do not want this to come in, all right?
I'm not even saying, really not even saying to adopt it, I just think it's worth looking at.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, that's what.
And take time to make an educated decision. I think that's what the moratorium is let's take some time and make an educated decision.
I think what's important, that we do have non-metallic mining ordinance put into effect soon.
I think so too.
Even a one that hasn't been read is better than none at all. Because the next guy that puts in an application, he's gonna get treated the same way as the last one happened to him, unless we have a non-metallic mining ordinance. We gotta have one, we gotta have one soon.
How does it, say if we did, the motion was seconded and there was more yays than nays, does that mean that ordinance is set in place, or can that be added to, can the board make a decision at the next meeting to say, hey, this was missing this, maybe we should put this in there? Can you do that?
We're really trying to figure out whether we can change what our decision was already to begin with.
Well, you're not changing your decision, you'd just be adding to it.
That's why.
Or is that, you'd just be amending it?
Amending it.
Amended to
Or
it.
putting stipulations.
And stipulations were, as like everybody's asking about it, and we kept trying to say that, okay, we got OSHA, we DNR, we've got that, we do have, or we're trying to basically figure out who's gonna be capable enough to be able to go after the mine, go into the mine, check it out, for our benefit at Patterson's cost. We talked about that, I even brought it up, that's what we were gonna do. Now it's coming back to me like we didn't even say anything about it.
No, I just think we just wanna make darn sure. We just wanna make darn sure.
And I'm with you there.
Did
Okay? And that's the way it was, okay?
Did we have
Yes,
an
ma'am.
ordinance in place before this all happened? And we saw that it was signed, that we saw at one of the meetings, that some of you people weren't at. and it showed that there was an ordinance that protected the property, that protected the taxpayers, that protected the water content and all that sort of thing. We saw that. It was signed by you, Mike, it was signed by Linda, it was signed by other people. And we saw that, and they showed that to us. Can't we get that ordinance back in again?
It's there.
It's there, then it was just rescinded for this one time? No? Well,
I guess I don't know where you're
Going with it.
going with it.
Right.
Well,
We have one to regulate it. We have an ordinance.
Well, then how did they
non-metallic
get in?
mining.
How did they get in?
It's
And
not to stop them, it's to regulate them.
Regulate
They do get in, so that we can regulate it.
Make sure your groundwater's safe,
Right.
make
Yeah.
sure all this dust,
Right.
make sure all this is all in place,
Right.
that's what it is.
That's all part of the non-metallic mining ordinance that we have. And that's why we hired an engineer to look at it, to say that, you know, this is what the ordinance reads, this is how our comprehensive plan is. Does their plan either, you know,
Meet those
meet it
expectations?
or
Right.
do better? And in some cases, the engineer was not happy with what
35
Addison had.
Right.
And
They-
he
they
asked
met
them
that,
to
yeah.
make changes
Yes,
so
I
that
understand.
so that he would meet. They did.
Of course, you're talking about the reclamation plan, right?
Yes.
We do not have a non-metallic mining ordinance. You realize that? Two different things. Two different things. Right? Is that right?
Whatever. You know, we have what we have. It was, the engineer looked at it, he was satisfied with it. The attorney looked at it, he was, you know, he said they were doing what they needed to do. So, we
Linda, I
didn't just not
don't mean to
look at
argue with you. You got some good points there. But the reclamation plan deals with the mine site.
Right.
What about the things that happen off of the mine site? What about what happened to the neighbors and the people surrounding that?
That's right.
What about their quality of life? What about their health effects that we address it and ask you
But
people
there
and
shouldn't-
hard at you people so many times?
Right.
And you didn't address it. You always go back to the reclamation plan. That's fine. That's when because you're dealing with Patterson. How about dealing with us and our problems that we're gonna have
Okay.
because of that mine? And that's
But
why
what
we need a non-metallic mining ordinance.
What we've seen and what we've studied and what we looked at, and we looked at Boscobel where they have one that's in operation.
We don't,
But that's exactly what's gonna be here. So that's why we looked at that one. We didn't just say, yes, you can come in, and we didn't discuss anything. We did look at everything. We looked at all of these different things. And there shouldn't be any decrease in quality of life. There shouldn't be any reason that, you know, the roads, the DOT has said that they studied it, they looked at the increase in traffic, and they said the roads were they were able to handle it. That shouldn't be a problem. And all of these things were discussed at the Plan Commission meeting where we approved the CUP. So,
We used to live in North Dakota, and I have lots of friends out there, and I've talked to them out there about what's going on. They're very, very distressed. They can't walk to the grocery store at night because there's so much crime up there. People go up there to get jobs, and they can't find jobs. Motels are $300-400 a night if you go up there. It's just a mess up there, and they wish they'd never gotten involved with it. And I've talked to a number of them, particularly around Bismarck, and they're very upset. My son went to school at Hibbing, Minnesota, at Virginia, Minnesota, and it's a mess up there. Great big holes in the ground, they just up and walk out and leave them there. How are you going to make sure that with $164,000, that's not going to cover the problems that they're going to cause in our area? We shouldn't have any more. We should not have any more. One's enough.
It should cover it. If we need to reclaim the land, that's, you know, that's part of
Acres
it.
that's
So.
put in,
Right, you're only doing, opening up a certain amount of acres at a time. We're not opening up the whole thing. So they're the $160,000, will take care of 5 acres, that's
Reclaim,
gonna be opened up.
reclaim what may be open if they walk away or leave.
Right. And I think, Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the township hire Delta 3 Dan Dreschen?
Yes.
And to go and an unbiased opinion?
Yes,
And you went by his recommendation,
Yes.
which I admire.
yes.
So, you know, I guess, I think you're doing a lot of positive things.
Yes. We're trying to.
Just a correction on that, Gail, it's 40 acres, not 5 acres.
No,
5
at
acres
one
at a
time. Yes, 5 acres at one time is gonna
I
be,
thought I read that.
That's all that'll be opened up, and they'll be covered up with black dirt from the next 5 acres.
Yeah, but one thing we feel is that you guys never listen to the public.
ouch, Scott,
We never had any input.
you find a rock?
Oh, shoot. But I would like to
The other
reiterate,
thing I'd like to say too about this, we're talking about here in Minnesota, we're talking about north. This company has already been running for 2 years in Boswell without any problem whatsoever.
Right.
Oh, yes, they
You're
had somebody die.
settled- Here?
No,
in
over in
Boswell?
Iowa.
In Boswell?
Oh, yes, they
Boswell.
did.
The mining.
Yeah,
That's
don't get
more like
confused.
rock quarry and basketball, that
Yeah.
isn't gonna be what is gonna be on Highway 6.
So what I'm trying to say is, when we
Is that a
talk
frac
all
sand
the other
mining over there?
country places that they've been doing this in, we're not being at the same thing, we're not being fair, if you wanna put it that way, to Pattison at all. You're already telling him he's the same as he's up here. It's like telling Greg, man, just 'cause you sing, you suck just like the rest of them. And you might sing pretty good, you know, but I'm just trying to put it to a point, you can't, it's like the old saying, I can't wait to see you fail. Or it's like this guy over here, I knew it, that water'd run out that tube and take the tube out, you know. The positive aspects of what is going on, you don't see it, okay? And we don't see it. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not gonna put a nail in his coffin just because somebody up north, up by Arcadia, they've been up there, they've dug big old holes, left him as that. This is not Pattison. Pattison record, other than the finds that he had in his mining area. We're talking about mining of sand used in fracking. This sand is no different than the sand you're pulling out of my yard even, when I'm digging. To begin with, gentlemen, to begin with.
But my
Gravel dust is worse than anything.
I don't think really the question is about Pattison and his integrity or not. In this particular case we're talking about, does it make sense to have an ordinance, right? And we've opened up the door to Pattison. That doesn't mean, what about the next guy that comes along? What about the next guy that comes along? What about the next guy that comes along? So the real question is, does it make sense to have a non-metallic mining ordinance or not? And it seems like maybe it does.
So stop
Well,
anyone else
I guess
from
that,
putting it where it's
I'm glad you brought up that point, because we should expect nothing less than somebody else if we have, Pattison in Boscobel, who you had, I think, a couple representatives of the town board
Right.
at the meeting, and there was no complaints that he received from his,
Fry was the only one there.
that the town board, there was no complaints to the town board, and they were well satisfied with it. And so if we model ourselves after something good instead of something bad, I think that's it should be good for the community.
And modeling is good, but it doesn't hurt to add to when you see things that aren't exactly right with what you would like to see.
And I'm not gonna disagree with that, but find something wrong that Pattison is doing, compared to the other mines, there's probably, it probably goes the other way. There's a lot more good things that Pattison is doing than some of the other mines up north or Timbuktu or wherever that are not doing it.
Oh, and you know what they're doing up north, right?
No, I don't care. Do
How do
you?
you know what he's not doing?
What are they doing in Boscoville? Is that a frac sand
Yeah,
mine too?
well, yes, that's what
rock
it was,
quarry.
and they brought it
Rock
here.
quarry.
It's a rock
It's a rock quarry, that they took they took the rock sand out of to make frac sand.
It's gonna be small stuff.
Put it in here.
Bridgeport's gonna be a lot bigger.
Especially
But
if they
only
get
5
all these
acres at a
other
time.
people in.
Yeah.
Especially if you let them, open the gates and let the whole bunch
You
get
gotta
in.
remember,
5 acres
we
at a
felt,
time for
we
200
felt that
years.
the board selected those people from Boscobel. We didn't hear anything from the residents in Boscobel,
No.
you know, just from the board, and I think they were
You
hands
got to
against
stop.
it.
Do you think that they give an
and talk to the
unbiased
lady and the guy that lives right on the road.
Yeah.
Goes into there.
You're absolutely
And
right.
they have no problem with it. The one that's a quarter mile down the road, the only problem he had was he, hard of hearing, didn't hear him say that they were gonna blast, and it scared the hell out of him. Other than that, those are the two that are the closest that I got to talk to. So,
Anything else either.
What about the problem of the lady that can't sell her house right now? What about her?
She might be asking too much for her house.
You know dang well I should
A lot
sell
less
her
than you paid
house.
for it.
Right.
Talk about putting a nail in a coffin. Let's not worry about Patterson, let's worry about us.
Yeah, guys, our back to bill paid.
In our way of life, for most people, I mean, we moved to the country to be in the country, not in a city.
Traffic jam.
Where you want peace and quiet when you're out there, is you
Enough
never be
trucks
able
out
to sit
there.
out and listen to a bird sing this or have a picnic on the
Well, the
lawn.
sand trucks are traveling from Clayton and Boscobel now all the time, and you know it. Now we need a few more trucks on the road to make it really
Well, I think we need that non-metallic
nice.
ordinance.
Absolutely.
Can we get a petition or something so that the board will consider it?
We already have.
But for the ordinance. We had that other ordinance, but I'm talking at the ordinance to consider the moratorium especially. So they'll bring it up before next year.
each and every person that's gonna come in, each and every one that comes back into this, to be able to get, say they want another frack mine, they all have to come back down and go through the same thing again. It's not one that we set it up, okay, here we got a bunch of these, here you take one, you take one, you take one. Each and every one is gonna be the same that you're gonna go after and make sure they cover everything that they have to do within this business. So that's all we can, it's no different than trying to do what's happening across the street. It's,
Once you set a precedence though, that's really hard to fight.
what?
Once you set a precedence
That's
without,
what we're trying to do, with making them
By denying
responsible
them?
for everything.
Yes.
but we're saying we don't want
Everything.
another one to come in. We have one and that's all we need. We
Right,
don't
want
need
that one.
another one to
Yeah.
come in, or keep moving down the line and keep going farm
That's
after
right,
farm
right.
after farm.
Right.
Yep, we have the one, let's limit it to that.
What about Eastman?
And if they do come in, we need control over it.
We need controls because they've set a precedent, they've granted a permit.
That's
The
right.
next guy that comes, it will be
You'll let this guy do
legally difficult to say no. So it's important to establish some rules and regulations that these people have to follow.
Set
And
by
I
the
think there's a
people.
motion on the floor and a second to implement an ordinance.
Well, all in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. All in favor of the zoning ordinance?
Second time.
All against, raise your hand. Anyone abstaining, raise your hand. Can only raise your hand once.
Two.
We're still on that public input, about 1 minute.
So I got
2 minutes, that's it.
I make a motion to post agendas and publish them in the Courier Press at least 1 week prior to the meeting. Also have meetings start at 7 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock in the evening.
I
This
second
is a
it.
farming area where that middle.
Usually our meetings start at 6:30.
Right.
Start at 6:30 with the
Sanitary.
sanitary, and then 7 o'clock is a general meeting, is how it's been. So it's no 6 o'clock, this is the only one that's at 6 o'clock. Okay, or whatever that says.
The last board meeting was at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, the last few meetings have been six.
Last meeting was 6.
But our usual general meeting that we have for our sanitary is usually 6:30, and the 7 o'clock is the opposite. If there's something on the agenda that we deem or think it's gonna take a while, that's why they're probably given an extra half hour, you know.
But there's another part to that, well.
What is it?
Posting?
Yeah.
I'll publish it 1 week ahead.
1 week ahead?
You
The
can't really
problem,
do that though.
the
If somebody
problem,
needs
yeah.
to be on it before then.
Yeah, the problem is, a lot of times, items for the agenda don't come up until maybe 2 days before, and they're supposed to be posted at least 24 hours before the meeting. In an emergency, it can be up to 2 hours prior to the meeting. With our newspapers the way they are and having to have them in, if we posted it, if we put it in the paper, it would have to be in by Friday, and that means there would be no changes. There'd be no way to make a change.
Put it on the radio.
It's been on the radio lately. Because I send it to the courier, so they announce it.
So even if you post when the meeting is,
Yeah.
then you have to know what the agenda is then too, is that right?
Normally, the meetings are held the second Wednesday of the month. Sometimes there's exceptions to that, but the normal is, we've always held our meetings, our general and sanitary meetings, the second Wednesday of the month.
I know it says in whatever books we have here that we just have to call the newspaper within 24 hours of the meeting, I believe. And it would be nice to put something different in there where they could at least let people know somehow.
Paper gets published on Wednesday afternoon. If you don't buy a paper in town,
You don't get it
the
till
paper until Thursday afternoon.
So you have to, so you have to look at Monday's paper, and in order to get it in Monday's paper, you have to have it in by Friday.
Right.
And if we posted it Friday, like an agenda, and had it in the paper,
You don't have to put an agenda.
we don't have to put an
No, you
agenda,
can
but
just
just
say
the
that
meeting.
there's a meeting.
But
Why
I
don't
guess
you have your
that's,
own website where you
I
can
guess
go on the
that's why
internet?
we haven't, we just try to keep it the second Wednesday to save some money, costs.
Well, there's a calendar in the paper though. You could put it on that calendar, and then you could put the website so that people can look at what the agenda is on the website. Do you put it on the website?
We don't have a website.
Well, you make
Linda,
one.
could you put it on Crawford County webpage, crawfordcounty.org? It's all
I
Crawford
suppose.
County, just a suggestion.
I suppose. I think there's enough of you that are probably getting it that I'm sure it gets around.
Oh,
It's
not enough.
It's normally normally we try to have it the second Wednesday. We just kept it that way so that we didn't have to continually put it in the paper and continually post it, and we try not to keep moving it. Sometimes things come up and we have to. May's meeting is going to be the third Wednesday, so everybody knows May's meeting is going to be the third Wednesday of the month. We try to work around things, so.
Linda, I think it
The
would,
agenda is posted, the agenda is posted in the 3 places. The courier is notified, so they know about it. They usually can't get it in paper. And the radio station is notified, and they've had it on pretty much every morning, the morning of the meeting. Yes, somebody said something, I'm sorry.
Gail?
I guess, I think it'd be nice to have, when we have special meetings, not the agenda, just that it is publicized. That's
And
just
there-
my opinion.
Yeah, and there again, sometimes it's just, they come up and there isn't time. We've got our
Okay.
12 hours maybe, so, or 24 hours, so we
That's
try
why
to
it'd be
get
nice
it.
to have a website
A
or,
website.
or an email,
Places.
so people could go to this email and
Mhm.
you could find out what's up to date. So we know what's on the agenda, because half the meetings, no one knows about it.
This is gonna be fantastic. I really am not trying to be smart, because I'd like to see more involvement from the people.
Well, I
okay,
agree, I
than
think
what's been,
taxpayers
all right?
haven't been kept up to speed as what's
Right.
going on. And
No,
that's
but
why
they-
a lot of stuff went through, and the taxpayers need to know what's
And
happening.
that's why it's set up for the second Wednesday of every month.
And
you
the
can be able
agendas-
to find it, you can see it at the four
Yeah.
spots.
The agendas are always posted
Sometimes you
here
sneak
at
in
the
an
port
extra
and at
one.
the fire station.
No.
It's not like we've tried to keep any secrets, it's always out there.
Is there anybody that could start a website? Or is anybody that?
That's Studio 9. Very.
You don't, I mean, you wouldn't have to have a website. The clerk could have an email group
Right,
that consists of the town members.
right,
And,
right.
and then anybody that wants to get the emailing could get
Right.
their email address into that group.
Right.
All you have to do is let me know.
Right.
Yep,
And
and
I
we
will
can
add
send
you
it
to the
out
list.
Let her know.
at
she'll
least
send it
24
out
hours.
to you.
The problem with the postings and that is we're all busy, we have busy lives.
And
How
then
many
Somebody might be
people-
traveling, they might miss the
Right.
announcement, that email would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All we
That's
need is an
fine.
email.
Yep, I can add you to the list, all you have to do is let me know.
I think that's great, Linda.
Let her know.
Yeah, I've got about 15 on the list now, so.
I wanted to propose,
Newspaper, they can
when we have the big events, on Ward Road I wanted to make sure that Ward Road stays closed during those events. I know that, you mentioned
sign
about
that, so
opening
she
it,
can send you an email.
and I just feel like
So she
emergency,
can on that. Alright,
situations.
so we can get it taken care of right
And
now.
with the residents, considering that it's right in the middle of a whole residential area, and if an emergency came up, and for the residents, I don't know if they can put it in their plan that they have with that, or what, but, because it just seems like a lot of stuff has been overrode, what was voted in the beginning got overvoted and gone through, and so.
I second.
Do we want to second that or not, but.
I'll second
I
that.
second.
Close Ward Road.
Just during the event. Yeah.
I think that was brought up at one of the other meetings, and they tried the last time, and in some cases it was. You know, Scott has worked very closely with the sheriff's department, so.
Well, I just know Ryan Stram sat there one meeting and just said, I don't know why we closed Ward Road, it's a public road, it should have been open, and that scared me, because, like I said, this 40, 30, 25,000 people are right in the center of residents, you know.
Yeah. There'll be absolutely no secrets, believe me. Everything that's gonna happen out there is gonna,
I know, but I just,
yeah,
I
there won't
just
be any
want the
secrets,
board to
believe me.
consider
We just want it
always keeping that road from the huge line.
Scott, we just want a road on paper, Scott, just want a road on paper.
Yeah, that's not even up to us. It's completely up to the sheriff's department.
Well,
That's, that's,
But
that's
doesn't the board
completely up
have
to
a
them.
say about that, or?
You know, there's nothing. If I said I want to open tomorrow, it wouldn't matter what we said. It would be what the sheriff's department said. It had nothing to do with us. Nothing.
It's probably a safety issue with the sheriff's
Yeah,
department.
I really feel.
I mean, I'm
if
just
somebody had an
saying, they go
article or
by
something,
numbers. and-
Yeah,
You
so it's
can't,
nothing
I
to do
know the
with us.
mailman tried to get through alongside the gravel to deliver mail in a regular, he didn't have his mail truck, but he even got it, and there was an accident with that.
You've got a lot of things being changed with that,
Yeah.
being able to use gravel road for a transfer lane between
Yep.
Prairie Sheen and Patch Grove and everything, so
Lot
they're
of
gonna try to do
A
that.
lot of things.
They had no clue that this was gonna be a 40,000, so this is a.
That's not, that part's not true. I talked to Dale McCulloch 3 weeks before the event, and I told him, I said, you're in for a shock, man. Which is a good thing, but I told him, I said, we play at Country USA and Country Fest, and that's on a 4-lane interstate, and it's backed up traffic 20 miles both ways as far as you can see.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm not saying anything bad about it, what I'm saying is they did know, he was aware, Dale McCulloch was aware that traffic was gonna be that bad, so. The bottom line is, there's no way around it. You're on a 2-lane road, and you got little side roads off the side of it. And I'm all for closing Ward Road. My fiance's husband died on Birch Lane off of Ward Road, and it took an ambulance 10 minutes to get there from the prairie without traffic. But with that said, when you got 40,000 people on a highway to begin with, how the hell is the ambulance gonna even get to Ward Road? So,
Well, hopefully they figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
they better. I mean,
Seriously,
they
somebody
can't.
could die if they could know or anything. Just-
I have another question.
Or are we voting on that one?
Do you have anything in your rules and regulations about how often the chairperson should be here? No? You should. He hasn't been at any of the meetings except for one in the last.
Can we vote on this quick first and then, that's a good,
who made the motion?
I'd like to make the motion.
Randy made the motion, I seconded it.
Larry seconded it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hands up, I mean, sorry.
It's more than that. That works. Okay.
All against, raise your hand. Anybody abstaining, raise your hand.
Pay attention here. I'm criticizing you, you're not paying attention.
He's on the board,
So I guess I'm kinda confused,
Oh.
maybe, I'll keep it to a minute, but as we know, the hospital annexed to the city, and we had 101 reasons why they shouldn't have. And I know the board attempted and tried to talk to the hospital, so with that, I thank the board, but where I'm going with this is, we're getting eaten up, and there's hearsay and gossip, but Prairie Sheen is eventually gonna take over Bridgeport. They're coming this way, and they're just gonna keep eating away at our township.
Take tax dollars.
Well, so I guess what I'm looking for, and I'm kinda confused, and maybe you can help me, and I'm not a motion or anything, but what does it take to become a village? What, can we do anything? Can we give you any more resources that, I'm just afraid that the city administrator and the city is coming this way, and they will, you know.
I think that was proposed years ago.
Yes, it
They were
was.
working on it, and then
We got burned out.
I was on the town board at that time,
So how do you do it?
and we had to have a public meeting place, we had to have a park, and a church.
at a church.
We have the church,
Yeah.
we have,
We had to have a sanitary district.
Close
no,
the house next to me and build a park.
no,
They have
no.
specifications.
It had to be of a certain size, the building did.
Yeah, they had to have
To
specifications.
make it a little easier on everybody, what it takes to begin with $25,000 out of your township to even get the application to become a village, okay?
To be considered.
To be considered. That's prior to all the other stuff that goes on. Right now, we're talking about legalized boundaries. That the lawyers get together from Prairie Sheen, our township, and say, you don't get to come into this section. They've done it over in Waukesha, they've done it over in the Milwaukee area, like I said, in Waukesha. And they've been able to do that. So they cannot just,
And they get to stay a township then?
right, well, it's a township, yeah, because what, even though we give them the $25,000 for
They might
that,
say no.
it still doesn't say we get it.
Right.
Mike, do you get TIF money?
Do we get TIF money from
Well,
it?
no, I know we don't now, but if,
We could,
if you
yes.
did the boundaries, we could get
Right.
TIF money. That was a big thing.
Mhm.
And, yeah,
The hardest thing to say is, like I said, the beginning of it's 25,000.
mhm.
That's not, the legal fees that go on back after that. So
Is,
what I'm
is
trying to
that
say
just
is,
for the application?
right. The
Well, that's-
legalized
I guess-
boundaries that we're talking about is trying to say, okay, you cannot enter on past Ward Road, or you can't go on to our, because we gotta stop the flat land, the good land that we have from getting bought up or annexed by the city. So yes, we have been doing something about it, we've talked about it, we've tried to get stuff going. So like I said, the little old thing goes out, well, they aren't doing nothing, they're gonna just eat us up. We've got another meeting with the hospital next month, right? The first of next month, which entails that we do the 8-inch water line that goes in the back to Walmart, where the hospital's gonna be sat. So the idea behind that is that we have the ownership of that, they're gonna have to buy the water from us. Their main concern is, what they're trying to do, you cannot get, there's no taxable dollars in a hospital, or the nonprofit.
But there is in clinics.
Clinic, anything like that, residential area that they're
Right.
trying to talk about,
Right.
that's where they get the tax dollar
Yeah.
back out of. But as far as the hospital, non-taxable, I don't know how that ever started, but it's a nice organization to be in. But that is what we're trying to get after. We're not trying to lose the area that they're talking about
Right.
being that, what they're gaining from it, we have no clue. Because we went to 2 meetings with them, and basically we're told, it's already done, we're gonna give you, they went into their nice meeting room, they had apples and juice for you and stuff like that, right? That all was real, everybody in the ties and stuff like that, we come in there looking like.
You just come in with your shirts and jeans.
Right, and that's it.
Like a common person.
Mike, you should clean up
And
more.
you're thrown out.
What basically was, we've already made that decision.
So what did we get out of that
What did we get out of
then?
it?
The shaft?
Right.
Yeah. And we were able to, correct me if I'm wrong, we could provide everything
Yes.
that the city could.
That's what I
And
said.
maybe even we
Yeah.
could provide some bonding for them.
Right.
Well, that was the original one, that we were the second meeting that we went to with them. They were looking for bonding. The county owns it back here. Okay, the county controls it, city owns it. Okay, now, because they did annex us, that piece.
Yeah.
So we have nothing
We're out
to
of
do with
it.
it. We're out of it, totally, because that's the way their lawyers talk. The hospital lawyers said, no, you don't want bonding by either, you gotta have it by the county or the city. Either way, you're gonna do it.
Well, not to drag this
Right,
out
'cause they
anymore, what
wanna
about
get-
Lavier or anything back behind that, then? Back behind that property?
As to what? As to what, Gary?
It's being annexed, so that whole area of the hospital, that's annexed.
Right,
Yes.
right.
101
And that's it?
acres. It's the 101 acres that
That's
they
the
bought.
piece,
Oh,
that's the piece right
That's the
there.
piece.
That's why we're trying to stop it
Right.
through either legalized boundaries that we're talking about, or by going into a village. But the same thing, like I'm saying, that we're looking at the same thing. I come up to you and say, I'm gonna spend $25,000 your money. All right?
And no guarantee.
You sit over here on my side, come back out to you guys who are working stiffs, just like everybody else,
Scott, how many campers did you have last year?
you know?
I have a clue in the world, right?
5,000?
God, no, 5,000, 3 times, 4 times.
So I guess that's
No
the
idea.
thing we're trying to get at.
No idea.
We wanna stop this from happening.
There's
All
We
right?
want to keep the boundaries what we have, because we're losing tax dollars, we're losing
That's it.
businesses.
Yeah.
All
I
it
have
takes
a
is
question,
just
Mike.
Yes,
keep
sir.
rolling down there.
I read in the paper, this 100 acres that the hospital
Right.
bought,
Right?
it was stated in the paper that they might do residential housing.
Yes, yes.
Who's gonna get the taxes off of that?
They do.
The city.
That's why we're trying to say we gotta stop this. And nothing, when we went in there, I asked them point blank, I said, do you guys have a coffee clutch? I said, this was made before we even came into this place. And they wouldn't say nothing. They wouldn't say nothing.
Now, see, I
Well,
think we were told, I work for the hospital.
Right, right.
And we were told that they bought that land to bring out businesses, like other health clinics. That's what we were told.
Yeah, because the only part they're gonna use is about 40 acres of it.
Right. Because you have the gas line through there that you can't build on. You can put a road over it, a parking lot, but you can't build on it. So that takes some area away. But that's what.
But when Gail brought it up, the services that we can give them is no different than what the city
That's
gives
what I
them.
said from the beginning,
You know.
because I said you have this
And-
let's say the word
Right,
with the
right,
city,
reciprocity.
they're gonna come help
Right,
if there's something
Yeah.
major.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. There's more to it.
Right, there's more to it than what people know.
Right,
Well,
Right.
I can add a little more to that. They had actually looked at my place for the hospital.
Okay,
They looked at my place for the nursing home. Well, we never got together, but both times they said it will be annexed to the city of Prairie du Chien.
yeah.
So whatever they did, and it was the hospital that would build the nursing home. Or,
So that can happen to the mall there, that needs it.
Right now, an annexation, all it needs is the property owner has to request it,
Right.
and there's no legal stopping. If we get some legal boundaries, so be it, but I know Prairie will never agree to anything, because they are boxed in.
Right.
If you think about
Right.
it, townships have them boxed in and they wanna go. So, and Mike, I hope you didn't misunderstand, I didn't say the board wasn't doing anything. I was
No,
asking
no,
if you needed any more
yeah,
tools or
right.
I mean, because I think we all have the common
So what can we do?
goal here to stop.
Right,
What can we
to
do?
stop it,
Right,
to keep what we have.
absolutely.
It sounds like the
That's the two
village is a
things.
big deal, but how hard is it to do the legalized boundaries?
Right.
How's
The
that?
What's
two
that?
have to get together, you know, whether it's our lawyer, their lawyers, that's how it has to be. You gotta keep away from Aaron,
Right.
gotta keep away from them, that it's made known that this is, because like I said, they did it in the middle of Waukesha, in Milwaukee, and they've got one little spot in here, and everything else, the other towns around it, they were able to keep them from.
So that requires a lot of
sucking it up.
secrecy.
Right,
Well, I think, Mike, that you're doing something positive with the sanitary district, looking into, having another water supply,
Right.
right.
and it's gonna be in Bridgeport.
So that's another.
It's a bargaining tool with the city, or whatever.
Because if they run out, we've got the. So
Right.
We're looking into a reservoir. It's no secret.
No.
We're trying to get engineering into looking at what this is gonna be to take care of our sanitary sewer district and the influx of people that'd be into it.
Like, will that encompass a well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Well, and reservoir. The idea
People
of
have to
that.
hook up to a,
Well, basically, anything that there's gonna be close proximity to be able to be hooked up to, you know, is the idea behind it. We're not doing it. I mean, we're looking into it, so it's not, and it's the same thing as we're trying to do these other things, we're trying to be open with it, okay? But there are more things going on in the township than I know we're worried about what we're doing right now, we're talking about. There's a lot of things that'll swallow us up just as fast as anything else. The city will swallow us up as fast.
So how fast can a legalized boundary thing?
As soon as we can get them together, you know, and
That's what I'm
it-
saying, I
yeah.
think the faster you move.
Yes.
But Mike, if they don't agree, you
Right.
gotta get two people to agree.
Right,
Right.
That's where, if we
Right.
got to be a village, we don't need two people to agree.
No, we've got to have, they've got 5 different people that vote on this, right? Am I right? Something like that, 5 different people, where we had the one guy.
We had the one guy from Madison when I was on.
He made the decision,
He blew it out of the water
he
so
told
fast.
us, yeah, we thought it was gonna be, you're gonna make it,
Yeah.
according to what you were telling me that time, that, yeah, you're gonna be good, and all of a sudden at the end, no.
Mike,
Talk
where
to
are you,
somebody.
Mike, where are you looking for the reservoir at? Is it closer to down towards Prairie?
No, the reservoir and the well will be at 2 different spots to be able to feed what's down in Perdasheen into that section there. If the reservoir would happen to go, you know, low or hole or whatever you wanna call it into it, you could still service our sanitary district with that water from that well, direct. We wanna get to a point in height that we have pressure, probably anywhere from 60 to 80 pounds of pressure, some in that neighborhood. We don't want to go so high that we're going to have to put diverters in it to cut down the pressure. So we want it, there's certain levels that we're looking at, different spots, you know, that are just basically on the board right now. It's nothing. Yeah,
Right,
Michael.
the water pressure now is 104
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
city.
Yeah, and that's basically, you don't want, 90 is good, we get any higher, we gotta start putting resistors on it and stuff like that, be able to cut down the pressure on it, and that's basically just ruining what we've got.
will you be putting in hydrants and?
A hydrant system would go through it, Michael, yeah, it would have to, you know.
I guess my thought on that, being a fireman, if you can keep it up about 100 pounds, you can nearly fight a fire off of a hydrant.
Right, right.
if it's close proximity
Yeah.
where your fire's going.
Didn't Prairie du Chien Township try to do that with a reservoir up on one of the hills or something, up on one of the bluffs?
No, I
Am I
don't
wrong
know if
on
they
that?
have
They
or
did-
not.
didn't they-
Well,
weren't they
the city
putting-
has it on the bluff.
Yeah, the
city's
The
got
city
theirs
has it up on Tom White.
Bell,
Top of
up
Bell.
on
Oh, okay.
West
That's
Side.
that.
27 off on the
Yeah.
right. I don't see that part of it. So there are other things. So what we're trying to do is keep open with you and let you know that these things are going on too, okay? We don't want to get ate up by SID. We've got what we, you know, going on here. So yes, we're not just sitting here twiddling our thumbs or worrying about different things. There are a lot of things going on in the township. So we'll make sure you're informed on, okay?
Excellent.
So.
I have one more, I have a motion, I guess, then for the board to, I don't wanna word this, ordain an ordinance, that would, bring up a camping tax, fee, and it would be for any overnight camping in the area, which at this time in our township would only be the 2 events held at the Scheckler property, which is Country on the River and Rock on the River. Thank you. You know, I don't know how further you want me to go in depth with my motion, but obviously if you did $5, $10, $15, $20 at how many campers, Mr. Scheckler, do you think you had? Maybe 100, 200, 300?
I have no idea.
Not campers, yeah. It wouldn't be for each person, it'd be for an actual camper on site. Either, and you know, the organization would then pass that on to the consumer, you know, and either add a price to the camping fee, or they would pay the tax and not increase their fee. That would be totally up to them. But the biggest thing that I heard over the last year with Country on the River was, well, what's this gonna bring to our township? And with all due respect, it brings a lot to the county, the town, and the surrounding area. We know that. The problem is, and everyone in the surrounding area will say, thank God you have Country on the River and bringing all that business to us, but thank God we don't have the headache of the little quirks, okay? So the security, the traffic, you know, I'm not gonna go down this road again. It's out of everybody's, any negatives is out of everybody else's way. So what is it that you give back to the township other than a tax base with your land? I'm sure you've donated to the fire department, you know, but this would actually bring in revenue twice a year, a guaranteed revenue source, at whatever the board sets the tax at. And
I guess I'd like to differ with you because I don't think a lot of people actually know where the boundaries between Prairie du Chien and Bridgeport is. Prairie du Chien doesn't have a grocery store. Bridgeport has 3.
Yeah, we know all that.
But, and so they are spending money in Bridgeport, the people that come there and say,
No, I don't think we're disagreeing. I think you're agreeing 100%, Gail. I think what I'm telling you is the business is as far as all over the county and across the bridge. Nobody is arguing that fact.
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying as far as,
so he does benefit our
let's use the
township.
grocery store. What does the grocery store then cut back for the extra patronage to the township? They just continue to pay their taxes like a good neighbor.
Right.
This would actually go into a general fund.
Directly to the
Directly. You could either use it to seal up Ward Road, you could pave some of, I mean, this is gonna be a 4-lane here in the next couple of years or whatever, but you could do it for a number of things. You could increase, you know, put money towards the fire department. You could put money
towards becoming a village.
Right. That's, I mean, ultimately, that is my goal, to stop this from, that city from eating us up. But that's just me and you know, and the people in this room.
But I think most of the people in this room agree with that because our taxes are where they're at because of this.
Sure.
And there's a reason why people are in the township
Right.
versus the city.
Right.
That's why we moved.
Right.
That's part of it.
And this is just one way of, it's not putting anything on the organization that holds it. I mean, it really doesn't affect their ticket sales. If you were gonna go to if you know, when you go to stay in a hotel,
You pay a
room tax,
Yeah.
you don't even think twice about it,
Yeah.
really.
Right.
You know,
I agree
you're
with
gonna
that.
camp at
You don't
the,
even know it's there.
right.
That's basically what the city's trying to do right now.
Right,
with
the other tax.
This
Yeah.
5%
The half
tax.
percent,
And we're gonna all pay that, and we're gonna
no
get
matter
nothing.
what.
All the people in the surrounding areas are gonna pay that tax so that the city can build new roads.
Fill the potholes.
I think the easiest thing to do, it's a good concern. I would like to see the board talk with Scott, talk with the other ones into it, find out if they're applicable to it, find what happens with it, if we can make it work, all right? I don't wanna put it to the point, okay, with 5%, we're talking about a 0.5% of this thing, when we talked about that before, brought in $50,000 into the county, okay, their thing for the one time. I don't wanna see them say, okay, you keep pushing me, I'll do the same thing you did at Prairie. I'm leaving. Okay, that's my time to talk, thank you, ma'am, but I'm just saying, there's a certain point that this is a little, but we're definitely gonna ask him, okay? I don't think he
But why
was
is it
looking
up to
forward
the
to here.
Shouldn't it be up to every?
Well, I guess I,
You really, do you do that? How do you do that? I mean, we
I
can
guess I
say
got
that we
more
want
concerned
to
about your
set.
comment to him that saying this doesn't mean anything.
No, I
No,
meant this.
as a voter of this township,
Right.
I'm sitting here telling you what I want. There wasn't a second on my motion, so right now it's dead in the water, Mike. But-
No.
But when he just said to you, what does this mean? And you say it's nothing.
He said,
That
was this
assessment.
part of the meeting? I said, no. I said, this is part of people's concerns.
What is the annual meeting then? I guess
When it
I'm
comes to-
confused. What's going on here? Are we
Okay,
just
you
wasting
can bring,
your time?
you can bring stuff to it that we can take to our board.
Right.
Okay,
Which you are
that's
the
what I'm
board.
saying.
You're the
You're
board.
gonna discuss it with
Right.
them?
Well, them and you, the same thing.
Well, I
Well,
don't
we've
know.
got him and us
You said
right
you're
here,
gonna-
right now.
You
Right.
said it'll depend on what he says.
And,
Well, I think it has to be put on an agenda. I mean,
okay, so
we
let's-
can't blindside somebody
Right.
and,
Be able to do it.
you know,
So,
But maybe it's not a camping fee, maybe it's a flat fee to hold the event.
vendor fee.
Whether it's
I mean,
among a
there's ideas out there.
something like that, or, okay.
Can I second Adam's motion? Can we do that and then vote on it?
Vote on one.
a motion
Yeah.
to
Consider that.
camper tax.
well, that doesn't mean it goes through. All it can be is brought to the town board.
Right.
It'll be put on an
Discussion.
agenda
Right.
and discussed.
It's a directive
Right.
to the town.
Right.
It's a directive.
I don't think that we should have to
We have a motion.
I'll second the motion. I'll second the motion.
Okay,
Wait, they want to.
there you go.
And the additional cost of the campers. So, Mike,
Okay, so we have a
I just got a
motion.
comment here, you know, if you do this camping tax or a fee on each camper, the camping person, whoever's camping is gonna pay this extra fee, so it isn't gonna affect Scott's
Right.
profit tax.
Mhm.
You'll just raise $5, $10, whatever the camping fee is.
Yeah, but you got, I mean, obviously you have to be reasonable too. You don't
Right.
want to deter
Right.
people
Right.
from coming to the event.
You don't wanna
And that's
go
what happens too.
Right, so it definitely has to be reasonable. So it's gonna take some discussion.
You start adding $5 or $10 to a person's
What about
overall
to
money
the
they
people
pay,
that
and
have
they're common
campers?
people. They don't have a lot of money, they just wanna come see an
Are
event.
they gonna pay
We're not
campers?
They just don't come
We're
then.
not talking
Almost
about
have to.
tax
You
for
make him
person,
do
we're
it, everybody
talking
that puts a
about,
camp in
tax
their
per
yard.
campsite.
can have
That's
it.
what I'm talking about.
And you can have 10 people in a campsite.
We got
You're
another,
only gonna pay $5 or $10.
No,
We
it's
got
the
another-
camper that would pay.
another brand
Regardless of
brought up.
Yeah, just a camper.
you've got a camper coming into your yard and stays, and they have to do the same thing.
Isn't there an
They have
ordinance,
to
we
do the
talked
same
about this
thing.
last time, Mike? There's an
can have
ordinance
one.
against, I mean, I can't have a
Right.
5 people coming
But not only
stay at
that,
my house.
if I have Adam come over and stay at my house in my backyard, I'm not gonna charge him to camp in my backyard.
Right.
Why not?
That's what they're
It
saying.
would have to be a licensed event, like
Why not?
campgrounds.
So that's.
Well, I will if I can, but
Well,
just,
but
what I'm
that's-
saying is, when you have somebody come over and camp in your backyard, you're gonna
Right.
charge them.
Don't you think that's segregating somebody from what they're doing? I mean, if you're not charging you, but you're charging this.
Well, I'm not arguing with what,
You
but if
can't
you wanna
do
talk about it, I'm residential. I can have somebody camp in my backyard and not charge them,
Right,
which I wouldn't do that.
right.
So obviously, it shouldn't be taxed to have somebody camp in my yard when I'm not making money on it. I'm residential. I'm just,
We're
If
just
you were
looking out
licensed, if you were licensed campground, that'd go along right along with your license, you gotta pay the fee.
right.
Just like if you stay in a motel.
I can tell you guys, I travel a lot. I stay in a lot of hotels. I never think twice. Those taxes, they vary from everywhere you go. You pay your 5%, your 7.5%. I've seen the room tax as high as 13%. I mean, you're there, you pay it.
Trying to play Valley Fair in Minneapolis, it was 15%, and that was over 15 years ago.
And of course, I think it should be reasonable. I think this is a
Right.
great event. I think we don't want to deter people from coming.
Right.
But we should definitely consider looking at a little revenue stream here. Again, if everybody wants to become a village and stop Prairie from encroaching, we have to have revenue to do that, and here's a potential source.
That's right.
Mike, that $25,000 you were talking about, the fee for
Yeah.
coming, what does that encompass? I mean, is the survey and the making the boundaries?
It's basically, it's
It's
no,
just the
That they just-
application.
just the application.
It's just for getting the
That's
application.
And
Yeah,
all
it
your
is.
fees
That's all it
That it
is.
is.
And then you still have to go through all of the process and they have a goal there's.
And you
I
pay,
forget how
you pay
many
that to the
pages.
state?
Yeah.
How many villages have the money to do that? Is that a way of deterring? I mean, I'm sorry, for a small village.
Yeah, $25,000,
Right.
you bet.
Right,
Yeah.
of deterring them from doing it.
Almost, yeah, almost, because that's just to get the application
Right.
started,
You know,
so.
So like I said, maybe that other option needs to really be looked at seriously.
Absolutely.
Well, I think the idea was to find out who's still gonna be on the board, all right?
Right.
So now we know who's on the board, now we can act on it, we know we have still what's going on. We were trying it before, the board that we had.
So we're not snuck in
Right.
from behind and
Right.
done it
Yeah,
over.
and that's, we don't want, I don't
Right.
want that, I mean, I don't think you guys do either, so.
Right.
And the only way we can keep what we've got is by holding on to it and trying
And
to
there's
do it
been
like that.
very few villages. I think when I was on the board, there was only one village that, no, one township that made it a village, and I think that was Dan Kapanke's, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Up in Shelby or wherever it is up there.
I think so.
Where he's from, yeah.
He was, that was the only township
Yeah, I think
that
it
got
was-
to be a village.
I think it was like
When you
maybe-
looked at it before, why did they decline, or what was the?
Well, we
their
met with
excuse?
one guy, and I think it was, I don't know, can't remember his name, but it's immaterial. And we went on every road in the township, and boy, I think John and I,
Yeah.
were you on, Mike?
No.
Oh, okay. John and I went with them, and so we traveled all the whole township, all the roads. We had residential on every road in the township. But the big thing was, we didn't have a meeting place. This town hall was not big enough
Right.
for a gathering. The other one was, we did not have a park. A park for kids to play.
Right.
And we did not have a church. Since then,
That's
we
why
did
church
get the
went in.
church out here.
So really, what you would, if it.
But that's all by the wayside now, because they got a whole different set of rules.
Right,
One guy
changed
didn't make
since
the
then.
decision like he did the last time.
Right.
And actually, just to add to that, Gail, I was reading through it because shortly after I came on board, they talked about it again to be a village, and I went back and read some of the article that, and I don't remember the guy's name anyway. I don't remember, but anyway, they looked at this as a town hall, and they also said that the fire station has a nice meeting place. And his remarks to that were, it's too close to Prairie du Chien to make sense to have that as your town hall.
Because you want it centered in the community.
Yeah, well, it was too close a proximity to Prairie du Chien, so he didn't feel that that was
Sufficient.
sufficient.
What are the advantages to be in the village?
But now they took the power away from just
Yes, yes.
one person that determined it at that time. But I think that's a great idea to pursue it again.
Yeah. A couple of big advantages, Levon, not to interrupt Gail.
No, that's fine.
Are back to annexation. The city could not come in and annex us if we were a village. As a town, they can. And the other thing is, you can get, like the TIF funding, and there's more funding available that you can give out to the community that towns just can't do, even though they want to. So it's, those are some big items.
And I had to go another step. There is such a thing, and I think maybe Doc, you might have it, called scenic easement.
Yep.
It comes back.
Past yours.
No, that's not right, Greg.
About the corner, isn't it?
It's about the corner where the Daryl Ludwig's driveway is.
Yeah, because it's state easement.
Yeah, the state owns it
Yeah.
from, I'm gonna say roughly Daryl Ludwig's driveway out. So that's a state problem, it's not really a township.
Right.
Could the township petition the state to do these things that she's asking for?
Well, and I know, we tried to get the state is really rough, we did petition the township to get a jake brake, and we never got it, did we? No, to come down the hill past my place. If any people think that it's noisy where you live, you come to my place. and coming down the
It happens in
road.
front of our house all the time.
It does, it
And that's
happens.
why I'm worried about the sand mine with the trucks
Yeah.
coming down,
It
because
does that
they'll
gale
sit
in
you
Bridgeport
right up
too
in
by the
bed,
bridge.
you're sleeping when they do that.
We could have started stopping
Yep.
at his house.
I'm just saying, it's something to be looked at.
Yeah,
They need to
Right.
look
and I guess,
Where you are.
I don't know why we were turned
I
down,
know.
coming down from
That's
Walker's,
right there.
right there.
because Julie was on the town board at that
Right.
time.
That's the other thing that you had talked about, and you've got to hear about it too, about the 4-laner coming in and how they're gonna close off the bottom of Old 18. That's gonna be closed off. The road that's gonna come across is gonna come across basically where Mike's is, come across to by the old, come across there. come
Well,
right
through
the old
Chakas,
round.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
through
it's gonna come
Chakas
through
land.
Chakas?
Yeah.
They're gonna
Right.
cut that
It's
much
gonna
off
go,
of there?
it's gonna go between Chakas and Walker's house.
Oh,
the way I
wow.
Well, that's originally what they wanted to, but that's neither here nor there, but a lot of this is gonna be access only off the right side. So there's gonna be frontage roads and stuff like this in it, so this is the other. Yeah, Michael.
That white line, there used to be a white line there before they changed the intersection. What happens is, people pull way out there to the road, while the people coming from Purdasheen that try to take the corner there, it's a nightmare to try and get, I mean, sometimes you gotta almost come to a stop to take that corner, because they pull out there so far, it's such a sharp corner then. So then, if there are vehicles coming down the hill, they're usually coming at 65 miles an hour. You gotta hurry your turn there, and if the people pull out there so far, it nearly blocks. You know, you got such a narrow, you just got one lane to
Right.
turn in there, you can't.
All I can think of is just to
There
try
used to
and
be
get
one
a
there.
hold of the state, and see if they'll do it, the Department of Transportation, if they'll let us do it, even if we've gotta put the line in it or whatever, to be able to have a line to it, to be able to keep it back on their property. That's all we can do. I mean,
Before they changed the intersection, there was one on
Right.
there,
Yeah.
and it did help. It did help.
Could we investigate to see how to ask the state, or would we be able to go about finding the state?
No, you gotta ask.
Yeah.
You gotta ask the state, but they're usually pretty forgiving. You know, minor stuff like that, if it's just painting a line, usually ain't too bad. But if you're gonna
But a
change it,
light or something, then that one,
that's a little up on the.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have a problem.
But a line or something like that, they usually, you know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
more if it helps
By the time
the safety end, they don't,
engineering.
you know, they usually address that stuff pretty good.
I think where you need a light is out here, where you turn on the
Mhm.
60.
Yeah.
When it gets really foggy, you can't see it. I mean, it's a,
Yeah, the other day didn't either, did he?
No.
Right
That happens
out
about twice
through.
a year.
somebody
Yeah.
ran off or what?
Yeah.
Right straight through over.
We were talking about that roundabout, that's the potential for coming out here, one of the things that we were thinking of is, why not just a flashing stop sign? You know,
Yeah,
like
that
we
would
did
be
in
the
Prairie.
ideal thing,
You know, just a
flashing stop
big-
sign.
See, the
I think we call
original,
it a 20-inch
yeah.
sign, put it, you know, it's a solar, it runs 24/7.
Right. The original
Good
plan,
idea.
what they're trying to do right now, the original plan, they're trying to put the most cost estimate they can. And they're considering that a roundabout does cost more. They say it's safer, but so this is off, like we said,
Can we just do that temporarily though, Mike?
Control of them.
You can't.
I don't know if we
Them signs-
can.
Well, them signs ain't that.
No, they got them in Prairie.
$2,500, but it's.
They
got 'em in
you
Prairie.
Don't touch it.
We still gotta see if we can put it on there, you know?
That's state, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fast.
I mean, yeah, probably get some okay.
Take a-
Maybe we might save somebody's life.
Well, that's true. I'm not going against it any way you look at it,
You know?
but we've got to be able to go and we put it down and see if we can
Or maybe the
Find out.
alternative would be, you know, to brighten the area up with a street light or anything but a roundabout, you know,
Right.
would make sense.
Agenda.
Well, I second the motion.
I didn't hear a motion.
Basically, what we're gonna do is try to get a hold of the state, see if we
Oh,
can
yeah.
do some white on this board, and see what we can do on the upper end on those, on 60. So basically, they're gonna let us know what we can do, whether it's a motion or not, we're gonna try to find
Right.
out. Okay, guys, so if you wanna do it that way, go for it. I mean, Belinda's right now, so she's got it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say all fair, say aye.
All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand.
You gotta go by
See,
phone.
how you gonna do this?
Well, it's the same, all right.
light out.
That's good.
That's good.
And Nate?
Thank you.
Nay.
No nays.
Next.
Hey, Mike, I got a question, like with that, not to go back to the sand mine, but, you know, Bridgeport, we're not really getting nothing for that. Can we charge every semi so much per load to come back into this fund and maybe we can be a village, you know? There's gonna be a
Why
lot
would we
of
stop the-
trucks.
How do we stop the grain trucks? How do we stop any of the other trucks that are going on it?
But this here's in our township, this
But
is
it's
in
a
our
state
township.
road. Yeah. It's a state road, it's got nothing to do with our town. If it was going on one of our Class B roads, yeah, we could do something to them, you know, because of it. And I'd love to do it, I'd love to say, hey, when you come by, there's a toll, you gotta throw so much into it, but, like I said, logging trucks, gas trucks, grain trucks, you know, milk trucks, you guys gotta have, you don't want them to stop Wally every time to throw something back into it. Understand that, you know, I don't know how you go about being able to recoup something out of them.
Mike, I think the only time we ever got, the township got any money, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going back 10 years, was waste management, because they were traveling a township road.
Right.
And so they give us X number of dollars a year
Yep.
because of using our road,
Right.
our Vineyard Road. And I think that was probably the only business, because it was a business, and had the big trucks.
Right.
And would do damage to the road that,
On our town road.
on our town road, and only town road.
Right.
And they still pay that.
They still pay that, do they, Linda? Okay.
Well, it's something I think we at least should look into.
Well, they're not,
We can't do it on a state road
you
though.
can't do it on a state road.
No.
There's no state roads legally, we're not even supposed to be on a state road. They're made for military and industrial use only. That's what they were made for to begin with. They let us use them.
Yeah.
But they're taking some of our township away by
Yeah,
not
Mike,
charging so much a ton.
Well, I was late getting here, so I apologize for that, but I was just wondering if anybody had mentioned the fact that it would be nice if our town board meetings had more notice and possibly put in the paper.
We talked about
Nobody,
Nobody.
I shouldn't say nobody, but very few people go to the firehouse or to the port to.
There's a paper going around, you wanna email,
I got it.
Linda's gonna send it right there, Mike.
It'll be right on your computer, Mike.
I apologize, I didn't want to beat a dead horse.
No,
but I just-
no.
It's so hard to know, I mean, I wouldn't have known this meeting was tonight, but my neighbor stopped and told me, you know?
Good.
And so
It was
I
in the paper last week. It was in the paper.
I apologize, but most of the time, I shouldn't say most of the
annual
time,
meeting.
but a lot of the
Yeah,
time,
it's
it's
just
not.
what it is, the annual meeting.
Yeah,
But typically, the normal one is in the
Published.
paper.
It's the special meeting.
The annual meetings are always in
The
the paper.
annual meeting is, but
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah, but
typical,
typically,
normal.
the normal.
No, but it's
Right,
posted out
that's what
here.
he's,
That's what
You can drive in out here and catch it.
not
But
everybody
people
does
just don't do that, Leela. I
that.
mean,
Yeah, not everybody does
I'm
that.
sorry.
okay.
I didn't want to bring up the past subject, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't.
As long as everybody reads the email.
Mike, be sure she gets your email address so she can.
She did.
Good.
Sandy needs to email.
Is there a paper going around?
I would like to comment, Mike, that I like to see
I
the
got the email.
people at the meeting. You know, because it used to be that I was probably the only one that came to a town board meeting. We have a lot more discussion now, and I think that's good.
Well, there's a lot of big
That's
issues.
good.
Well, not only that, the stories don't get any bigger when you're sitting here and you're able to hear them. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Somebody's doing something nobody knows about. If you hear it now, you're gonna find out if it is or not.
No.
It's like an old fish
This is
story,
an annual
you
minute.
know? You catch that one like that and it ends up.
And second page.
Another one ever.
Any more input?
Yeah.
I got one more thing. I'd like to thank, I probably never agreed with her most of the time, but. Hallelujah.
That's right, Dan.
Yeah.
But I'd like, and I know you did a lot of things for you always thought it benefited the township. And I would like to thank you for the time or the years that you put in.
coming Sunday, between 1 and 4, there'll be a little get-together for Leila, for retirement out here, between 1 and 4. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's, do you really enforce the fencing laws in this township? I mean, if we let you know, I'm so sick and tired of Kreiders and Shecklers and there's no fence. I kept it up for 20 years and I'm sick of it.
Sure tried to. Who's the last one we had to mess with?
Geez, I steel stakes.
Gail?
Me and Denny?
It's you and Danny.
Well, we got
Bring it to us, Lauren, and we know who's gotta be on what side of it. That way we send them something, huh?
My hand's all I knew.
Yeah.
It's real bad along boulders and rods.
Plans for this one, they don't bad. I put all 5 bars across. Everybody thinks I'm like fencing, I guess. I'm sick of it.
No, that's what we're supposed to do, enforce it. And if we don't know, I don't know. That's it. Anybody else?
Anybody else got anything?
I just want to. I'm sorry, I had I don't want to bring it up, it's already been.
I got a lot of friends that's heavy
That's a good idea.
I voted down the hospital. I don't know why.
There was only one way that makes sense and that was the owner of the land.
Well, he had a request. Joey got to the hospital and he wasn't
See, they told me that right from the beginning. Where we were,